and it is completing sentences. Just look at the screen. Completing sentences with clauses and phrases. I think you have some ideas of phrases and clauses. In my last class, I told you about the definition of phrases and clauses. The part of a sentence. Clause is a part of a sentence which has only one subject and one finite verb. And you know, phrase is also a group of words. But it does not have a subject and a verb. Want you to better with particular topic. If you want to achieve efficiency with particular topic, and if you want to avoid mistakes, I think these points are to be remembered very minutely. First of all, try to understand the context. Context is very, very important. If you do not understand the context, you may have the chance to make mistakes. For that reason, I think at first you will try your best to understand the context. For example, it is raining outside. Okay. So if you do not read,
আপনার কথাটা বোঝা যাচ্ছে না।
yes. Hear me? You hear me? I think you hear me.
আপনার কথা বোঝা যাচ্ছে না।
Okay. Now listen to me. So at first try to understand the context of the sentence. For example, it is raining outside. I need an umbrella to, then you will have a gap in the sentence. So if you do not read the first sentence, then you have the chance to write to protect myself from the sun, because umbrella is also used to protect oneself from the sun or heat of the sun. But if you do not, if you read the first sentence, it is raining outside, then you can easily understand that you have to write here to protect myself from the rain, because while it is raining outside, you don't need an umbrella to protect yourself from the sun, because it is raining outside. So you will write, I need an umbrella to protect myself from the rain. So similarly, come to the second point, sequence of tenses. So sequence of tenses is a very important thing that you must consider while completing a sentence. Because if you cannot maintain the sequence of tenses, you must not be grammatically and contextually correct. So if you want to be grammatically correct and contextually correct, you must maintain sequence of tenses. Sequence means order or discipline. Suppose, look at this example. Look at this example. When he saw me, he, then dash. Just think of the first clause, when he saw me. So when he saw me, this is a subordinate clause and it is in past tense. It is in past tense. So while you will choose the next clause to complete this sentence, you must maintain the sequence of tense. That is, the next clause should be in the past tense. When he saw me, it is in past tense, so the next clause should be he acted crazy. If you write he acts crazy, that would be wrong. Why? Because both the actions take place at the same time, at the same period of time. So if you write when he saw me, he acts crazy, you have the chance to violate the order of tenses or time. For that reason, I think you must consider sequence of tenses while choosing or selecting a clause to fill in the blanks. Now come to the next point. We have to know some the use of some correlatives. Correlatives are conjunctions. Correlatives are usually used in sentences to connect two clauses or sometimes two words or two phrases. For example, so dot dot that. It's a correlative. Or no sooner dot dot than. It's also a correlative. Then hardly had dot dot when. So these are correlatives. And while you will use these correlatives, you must maintain the sequence of tense. And you have to have some knowledge of the behavior of these correlatives. For example, I have given here some examples for your sake. Suppose he worked so hard that he can shine in light. So hard. So is doing the function of adverb here. It is qualifying hard. So when you use so hard, then you have to connect the other clause with this very clause with that. So usually goes with that. So he works so hard that he can shine in light. And just look at the tenses in both the clauses. In the first clause, he worked so hard. This is in present indefinite tense. So you must not use a past tense in the next clause. If it is in present tense, then you may use here present tense or future tense, but not past tense. If you use a past tense, then that will violate the sequence of tense. So if you want to avoid the violation of sequence of tenses, you have to read both the parts of the sentence with minute attention. Now come to the next example. No sooner had he reached the station than the train left. Now just think. No sooner. Sooner is a comparative form or comparative degree of soon. I believe you know the definition of degree. Actually, while you will attempt this particular topic, you should have some basic ideas of different topics of English grammar. Suppose you should have the ideas of degree. What is a degree? Degree means comparison. Degree means comparison. Comparison between adjectives or comparison between adverbs. So sooner is the comparative of soon. As you have used here, connect the other part of the sentence with then. So why should I use then here? Then is a conjunction which is used to show the comparison between two. For that reason,
স্যার কথা বোঝা যায় না।
yes,
কিছুই বুঝি না।
so no sooner
কিছু বুঝি না স্যার।
starts. You don't hear me.
No, sir.
You don't hear me.
No, sir.
If you don't hear me, then how do you respond to my question? Okay, just try to listen to me. Actually, we have some technical problems. Then other hardly had I seen him when he ran out. Hardly had I seen him. Other hardly.
স্যার অনেক সাউন্ড আসে, বোঝা যায় না।
Yes.
তুমি তো এমনি তো বুঝতেছো না।
Okay, please. And come to the next point. Learn the use of words or conjunction. So what is a conjunction? I think you know it. Con means together. Conjunction means okay. So there are some particular conjunctions. After which grammatical rules for example, work hard lest you should or might fail. Lest is a conjunction. If a clause starts with lest, then we have to use should or might as auxiliary verb in the clause. So you may have a sentence, work hard lest, then you will have a gap. If you can understand the very particular uh, rule, then you can easily choose a correct response. Then come to the next example. He is devoted to helping the helpless. Devoted to helping. So why do I add ing to this part? Because after devoted to or addicted to or prefer to, we usually use a noun. But if there occurs a verb, you have to transform that very verb into a noun. So how can you transform a verb into a noun? You can add ing to this verb. Then it will work as a noun. For that reason, after devoted to, we usually use ing form. Okay. Now
একটু
to the
বাংলা বুঝাইলে ভালো হইতো।
fifth point. Just
স্যার বলেন স্যার।
listen to me with rapid. Please try to understand. Okay. Learn so far.
Please go high, Shana.
You may have some questions. Hey, keep quiet, please. So you
এত হাসি
পড়ার সময়
কেন?
all believe that man proposes, but then you may have a gap.
কি হাসতেছে?
So if you do not understand, or if verbs in your memory, then you cannot put here the correct. Okay. For example, all believe that man proposes. If you write some other groups of words, or if you write here, or another bunch of words that does not go with it, then you may not get it. So that reason,
আর বোঝা যায় না কিছু।
just keep quiet and try to.
কথা বুঝো না নাকি ইংলিশ এগুলো বুঝতেছো না? ক্লিয়ারলি বলো স্যারকে।
Sir, can you mute all the participants?
Yes. Okay, please.
স্যার কে যেন কোরআন তেলাওয়াত করতেছে।
All right, everything is essential. Okay, everything is essential for us. Now, please listen to me. Now to the next point, increase vocabulary. You know, vocabulary is very, very essential. If you know more words, your world will be larger. Actually, it is said that the world is made up of words. If you look right, you will say it is right side. If you look left, you will say it is left side. If you look up what you see, you say, I see the sky. So sky is a word, right is a word, left is a word. So you are defining your location. You are identifying yourselves with words. So if you know words, you must believe that your world is larger than that of others. Now, how can you increase your vocabulary? You can increase your vocabulary by reading books. You have textbooks. You have also storybooks. You may have access into newspapers, magazines. Just try to read a few lines or a few pages every day, and consult dictionaries from English to English, then I think it will help you a lot to develop your vocabulary. So vocabulary is very, very essential. If you don't know words, actually you don't know English. If you are rich in words, you are rich in a language. Suppose you know grammatical rules, you know how to make a sentence, you know the structure of a sentence, you have sound ideas of tenses. But if you don't have sufficient words in your memory, you cannot make sentences. So if you want to improve yourself, or if you want to be a very good writer and speaker, you should have sufficient words, sufficient number of words in your memory. Now, how can you increase your vocabulary? It is not a miraculous thing, or you must not think that after a few years or after a few months, you will miraculously learn lots of words. Actually, it is not like this. You have to work hard with your books, with English newspapers, magazines, and those materials will help you develop a very good vocabulary. So read those books and try to understand the meanings, their uses, their position in sentences, and that will help you a lot to achieve efficiency in English language. Okay, now come to the next point, knowing subordinating conjunctions and coordinating conjunctions. You know that conjunctions are basically of two kinds. One is subordinating conjunction and the other is coordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunction usually used at the beginning of a subordinate clause. That is, subordinating conjunction is usually used at the beginning of a subordinate clause. So you can easily define a subordinate clause if you have the knowledge of subordinating conjunction. If I ask you what is a subordinate clause, you may answer me, the clause which starts with a subordinating conjunction is a subordinate clause. Okay, then come to the next one, that is coordinating conjunction. So what is a coordinating conjunction? A coordinating conjunction is used to start a coordinate clause. Okay, for example, I know that he is an honest man. Here the subordinate clause, he is an honest man, starts with this that is a subordinating conjunction, so we call it a subordinate clause. Now if you come to the next example, he works hard but fortune does not favor him. Yeah, he works hard, this is the principal clause, but fortune does not favor him. This subordinate clause starts with very clause starts with but. So this is a coordinate clause. This is not a subordinate clause. So why? Because it starts with a coordinating conjunction. So what is the coordinating conjunction? But. Okay. So you can easily identify a coordinate clause if you can identify a coordinating conjunction. And if you can identify a subordinating conjunction, suppose that, then you can easily identify a subordinate clause. So subordinate clause starts with a subordinating conjunction. This class starts with a coordinating. Okay. Now I will take you to some rules of completing sentences. So how can you complete sentences efficiently, or how you can complete sentences correctly? For that very purpose, you should know some particular rules, some use of conjunction, suppose when or why, or so that, or in order that, then first,
স্যার সবাইকে মিউট করেন স্যার, সবাইকে একটু মিউট করেন।
please. Okay, please. Listen to me. As soon as the use of as soon as, I just like to start the discussion of as soon as. So as soon as, when should I start a sentence with as soon as? Suppose an action takes place immediately, and if you want to make an affirmative sentence to give the sense of urgency, suppose the work starts immediately or just now, and another action starts immediately after it. If you want to connect these two actions or two clauses, then you must use as soon as. Suppose just look at the examples here. As soon as the train came, we got up into it. It's an affirmative sentence. As soon as. Soon is a positive degree. It's an, soon does the function of adverb. So, as soon as the train came, this is a subordinate clause. We got up into it. This is a principal clause. But if I ask you to make it a negative sentence, then you may write no sooner. And sooner is a comparative degree, While you will use here comparative degree, then you must use a conjunction here then to show the comparison between these two actions. So as soon as is the affirmative form of no sooner. As soon as is the affirmative form of no sooner. You must keep it in mind. And another important thing that you must keep in your mind, that you must maintain the sequence of tenses. Let's come to this example. No sooner had ... than. This is the negative form. No sooner is the negative form of as soon as. Now look at this example. No sooner had he arrived at the station Then the train left. So why should we use here then? We use here then because we have sooner here. It's a comparative degree of soon. Why should we use here comparative degree? We use here comparative degree to show the comparison between two actions here. I find here two actions. One is he arrived at the station. This is action number one. And come to the next example, the train left. This is another action. So two actions take place here. And I want to show the comparison between these two actions. Now, how can I do it? I can do it by using then. And why should I use here then? As I have used the comparative form of soon here. Comparative form of soon is sooner. So most of the students think that as they have used no sooner at the beginning, so they will use then in the middle of the sentence. Actually, this is not an automatic process. It's a very scientific, grammatically scientific process. We use here then because this sentence is in comparative degree. Okay. Now come to the next example. Hardly had. Hardly had the teacher entered the. No, English class should be conducted in English. And try to listen to me with rapt attention. And then I think you will speak better than me. Okay. Now come to this example. Hardly had the teacher entered the class. This is not a comparative degree. Hardly is not a comparative degree. For that reason, the next clause must not be started with then. We use here a subordinating conjunction. So what is that subordinating conjunction? When. If you use here then, you will be grammatically wrong. Why? Because this sentence is in positive degree. But the sentence that you have learned at the beginning, no sooner had he arrived at the station than the train left, this is in comparative degree. How do you know it? By examining this word, sooner. You know, soon, sooner, soonest. Soon is the positive degree, sooner comparative, and soonest superlative. As we use here comparative form of soon, we connect the subordinate clause with then to show the comparison between these two actions. Here two actions happen. One is arriving at the station and the other is the train is leaving. So two actions.
এত কাউয়া ডাকে কোথা থেকে?
স্যার কিছুই শুনতে পাচ্ছি না।
স্যার শোনা যাচ্ছে?
শোনা
হ্যালো স্যার।
স্যার শোনালে তো নাই শোনানো যাবে, ঠিক না?
স্যার আপনার সাউন্ড মেবি অফ, কিছু শোনা যাচ্ছে না।
এই কে?
স্যার লাল শাড়ি চলতেছে।
Yes. Do you hear me now? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
স্যার কিছু দেখা যাচ্ছে না এখন।
All right.
এই বাত।
Okay. I have given.
কে যেন গা-
I will practice.
গাড়ি চালাইছে কে?
Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
দেখা
Yes.
স্যার দেখা যাচ্ছে না।
Yes.
স্যার দেখা যাচ্ছে না।
কিছুই দেখি না।
Do you see the screen now?
ইয়েস স্যার।
Yes.
স্যার
So do you find
Yes, sir.
these exercises here? All these are from board questions. Okay. Of different years. Suppose complete the sentences using suitable clauses or phrases. Industry is the, then what should be here? You tell me.
to success.
Is the key to success. Good. So it's very easy. And now come to this number I, exercise number I. I have a poor uncle. He could be rich. Now, if he worked hard. Okay.
হ্যাঁ। Yes, sir.
So you must read the first sentence very minutely. If you want to be grammatically and contextually correct, you must read the first sentence correctly. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Come to number J. He has become poor. Then dash of his idleness. So
Because
he
of.
has become
Because of.
his idleness. Good. Very good. Now come to exercise number 2. And for your sake, I just like to tell you the answer to the first one. Physical exercise keeps us healthy and strong. If you take regular physical exercises, then you can keep fit or you can be physically fit. So you may write, you have several options, but all the options should be contextually and grammatically.